Hello, we're back. We're 5-0. Week 6 swept the board, baby. We're back.
Hot as a pistol right now. Just hot as I actually think I lost 5 pounds. I'm burning so many calories, dude, with these winners. On fire. Look at you sipping a Miller Lite.
It's great.
Good for you.
Yeah, let's do a quick rundown, look back at the week. Kicked it off with the let's see. Oh, hold on. That was week 3. That's not right.
The 1 o'clock games. Hopefully people didn't lose faith in us after last week's really tough action going 1-4, and they stuck with us, because if they did, there's some happy bettors this week.
Yeah. San Francisco, Seattle. That's where we last spoke to everybody. You and I were on the opposite sides. Man, were you right on that one?
Yeah, Seattle's got a lot of issues right now. They're just not healthy on defense. Geno's turning the ball over. Their balance on offense isn't there. They did get screwed on a call. Metcalf had a touchdown that was called back on a ridiculous penalty. I gotta say, the officiating in the league, and I know I'm griping all year long about it because I watch pretty much every game. It's atrocious. They got to do something about it, because
I don't think you were watching this game, but there was the most egregious to date call that I've seen. It was unbelievable. Basically, there was a punt. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Seattle called for a fair catch.
I saw the replay and it hit him.
It hit his hand.
Yeah, and everybody saw it hit him, and they still gave the ball to Seattle.
And if you can explain to me the difference between, I couldn't explain it to somebody if you asked me to explain the replay rules, because sometimes they use a premeditated, they decide that they're going to look at a play.
The eye in the sky. Sometimes they get buzzed, and sometimes you have to challenge it.
Buzz at the eye in the sky. Sometimes this, sometimes the challenge.
Yeah.
I have no idea when they do any of that.
Right.
But apparently on that call, the booth review had a different feed than the feed that you and I were watching on television.
Absolutely absurd.
Does the league, I just have a simple question. Does the league have a subscription to Amazon Prime?
Wouldn't it be funny if they didn't?
That would be
one? Great.
I have one.
That would be so.
I have
funny.
One, and that's how I saw it. Do they have one?
They might not. By the way, I got to tell you, the ambiguity around that and not knowing when they use it and when they don't and blah, blah, that's what they want. They don't want the fans to know when they're going to use their power to make a call that they want to make.
Well, imagine being a coach then. Imagine
it's impossible. You know what? The coaches pretty much know the drill at this point.
Well, I think when you're on the field, I can only imagine the amount of things going on at once. You can't possibly keep track of the minutia of what, when you and I are sitting quietly in our home with our HD, 70-inch television.
That's right.
And being able to see it so crystal clear. They're the polar opposite of that.
Totally. That's why I always bitched, and the Steeler fans have always bitched for a long time. Tomlin refused to employ a video guy. He was making his challenge decisions from his vantage point on the sideline only for years, because the guy was a dummy. And that's why he had such a bad record with challenges. And, my only gripe with him really is that, and obviously his end of the game time management has normally been pretty atrocious, but I don't want to get off on a tangent. But I did see that replay. I understand people were upset about it. It certainly would have changed the outcome. But at the end of the day, even at the end, Seattle had a chance to stop their backup running back, and he ran for I think 75 yards to the 2-yard line and put the game away. So,
yeah, Seattle's defense is a real problem.
Yeah, they got an issue. They got a problem.
Offense is fantastic. They can score with anyone.
They can.
Let's take it to Jags Bears, the game in London. You were right. I was indifferent on this one. Actually, we both like the
Well, I
Bears.
got you to come to the
Yeah.
Bears because the reality was Jacksonville's a bad team, and I just sold you a little bit more on how Caleb is progressing at his role as a quarterback, and he really had a fabulous day, his best day of his career. Granted, it was the Jacksonville defense, but
I mean,
4 touchdown passes.
defenses, they're the worst.
Yeah.
They're bottom 2 or bottom 3 in the league. It proved
Yeah,
out.
we knew that. The DVOA was 32 on
Yeah.
defense, and Caleb was getting better and spreading the ball around. And you had Keenan Allen back, who ended up getting 2 touchdowns. So they got a lot of weapons, man. Chicago's dangerous. They're just in a very hard division. I mean, all those teams are over 500.
I know.
It's pretty remarkable.
Bucks Saints. This was crazy.
Boy, were you right about that one. We both had it, but you were so convicted about Baker and sticking with him. And I'll tell you, Baker, 325 yards, 4 touchdowns. And how about our Cuse boy late in the game, Sean Tucker? Remember him from Cuse, the running back?
Yeah.
14 carries, 136 yards, his first touchdown. I was so happy for him. And we talked about Evans maybe struggling against Lattimore. He did have 1 touchdown, but it really was Godwin's game. He had 11 for 125 and 2 scores. I'll tell you this, Tampa Bay, to me, responded. They blew a 17-point lead that they had built up early, and they had some resiliency, man. They showed some guts, and they took over the game in the second half, and they pounded them. They put up 51 points.
It was really unbelievable the way they played this game. They basically blew them out.
Yeah.
Decided to quit. And just thought that they could coast. The Saints scored 27 points in the second quarter.
Yeah, no, it was complete turnaround. It was incredible.
I couldn't believe it. All of a sudden, they were losing.
Yeah. And Rattler looked pretty good, in that quarter. He had a really good quarter of football there. And then they went to the locker room, and I don't know what was said. I know that after the game, Coach Bowles and Baker were interviewed, and they were playing with heavy hearts for the Tampa Bay region, with Hurricane Milton and everything. So they had a lot on their minds, and they felt like, hey man, if we can give our fans a win, it's super important in a time like this where people are losing their homes and stuff like that. So it was bigger than football. I thought they answered the bell, and whatever they said at the half, it resonated because they dominated that second half.
I have to say, 2 things. My takeaways on this one are just again, Tampa's offense is really, really top of the league. I'll I don't know how I would rank it. I want to look at DVOA updated standings, but they're definitely top 10 for me. Those 3 between Baker, Evans, and Godwin. I mean, they're as good as they're a top 5 offense in my mind. And Bucky Irvin is amazing.
Bucky Irving's been a really good young rookie, and they got a good tight end. I mean, the kid Otten is very capable. So Tampa Bay's dangerous. I did have them in that sandwich game. If you remember, I called that sandwich game at home against Denver, which was kind of the game where they kind of just, and that happens in a season, you catch the schedule at a weird time and you get picked off at home. But other than that, Tampa Bay's been really impressive. And if they get some more players back in the secondary, I don't know if Devonta Date, I don't even know if their linebacker played in that game. I'm not sure, but because they're not 100% on defense, but they're scary. I mean, Baker's been fantastic. I mean, come on.
Really
what else do you want?
As for the Saints, I think they're really in trouble.
Yeah, they are.
I was absolutely shocked that their defense played that poorly.
As poorly as they did, yeah.
I mean, I got to say, Dennis Allen's job has to be in question.
It should be because he's a defensive coach. I mean, that's that's his bread and butter.
You giving up 51 points in a game?
I don't have. It's like the Saints it's like the Archie Manning Saints.
And I don't know. It's not getting easier for them, and they have a ton of injuries. I'm not sure who they play this week, but I don't know that they don't look good.
Poor Josh. The only saving grace for Josh was LSU coming back to win that game the night before.
Yeah.
Which was impressive. Yeah, Saturday night in what do they call that place with LSU plays?
Death Valley.
Yeah. Saturday night in Death Valley. You never bet against LSU. He taught me that. He taught me that 25 years ago.
All right, so that was our first winner. Second winner was Packers Cards. You pushed me into that one. Great call. That was an easy winner.
It was. I mean, I know you were a
Arizona
little bit
defense.
questioning Love, and I thought that he was getting more comfortable, and at home he would be a lot more comfortable. And more importantly, to me, Arizona's an up and down team, and I said it. They're 1 week good, 1 week not. That's the way Kyler is. And sure enough, he didn't have a great day. I mean, 214 with a touchdown, turned it over. I think Dobbs coming back was big for Love. He's like his favorite receiver. So he threw 4 touchdowns, 258. The defense played well. And to me, Arizona, uncharacteristically, they've been pretty good with not being penalized. I think they averaged like 3 penalties a game. They had 13 penalties against in that game. So they just did not play a winning brand of football. And I had a feeling they wouldn't. So I was happy that it was as easy of a win as it was for us,
Easy winner.
Yeah.
Next was Tennessee Colts. I'm glad I didn't let you talk me into this. I hope at this point you're betting them. It was already shame on me for betting them a couple of weeks ago. You
God.
Well,
Yeah.
Why, Cello? They have to bench him, by the way.
It's just upsetting. It's really upsetting.
They have to let what's his face, the backup.
They don't even have the backup anymore. They traded him. Malik Willis is gone.
They have Mason Rudolph.
Oh, they have Mason, right? They have Mason from us.
Will Levis is so bad that they have to bench him.
Yeah. I was disappointed.
The Colts defense is so bad. Everyone's just tearing them to pieces, and that they couldn't move the ball. They couldn't score. They were turning it over. It was all set up for them to fucking blow.
They took the lead. I mean, they had the lead in that game. I mean, Pollard had a great run for a touchdown. They had a lead. I was more disappointed by their defense. I mean, they had a top 10 DVOA defense, number 1 in the league against the pass, and they blew the lead in the second half to Joe Flacco. I mean, it's embarrassing. I mean,
but they only let up 20 points. I hang this on their defense.
I get it.
On their offense and Will Levis, because
they were up 17-10. I believe they were up 17-10 in the fourth quarter, and they lost 20-17. So it's not a good look. Listen, they're not a good team. They're a 1-win team. I would have thought off a bye that they would have easily beaten that Colts team without Richardson, and they didn't do it. So now it's interesting because, this week they're getting a huge number at Buffalo. And I hate to say it, but I like them in that spot, getting 8.5.
What?
I do. I actually do. I think it's going to be tough. I always like to bet against the Monday night team, especially off a hard-fought game like the Bills had against a division opponent. Now going back to lay a big number, I don't know. I mean, it's too early to talk about the games this week, but I'd be inclined to take the 8.5.
Okay. Next was Cleveland, Philadelphia.
I had that one.
God.
That fucking stat again held true, except for there were 2 6.5-point lines that both lost that against that stat. So it's now 17-4-1 against the spread on underdogs of 6 or more points this year in the NFL. Cleveland was the only winner this week. Washington lost by 0.5. Carolina got blown out.
Yep. Yeah, I think the Browns. I mean, Myles Garrett, incredible play.
Incredible.
The pick 6, that was our only touchdown. Our
totally
score. I think watching that, because they had the game on here in New York, which was crazy. But I think that Kevin Stefanski has to have a one-on-one with Ken Dorsey and the offensive line coach. And I think that he has to let's you and I role play how this meeting would go. Okay. I'm gonna be Stefanski, and you're gonna be Ken Dorsey. Okay. Hey, Ken.
What's going on? How are you, Coach?
Good. Close the door.
Sure.
I just want to be clear about something. If we ever get inside the 10-yard line again this season, and we have a procedure call against us, which is a false start, an illegal shift, or anything like that, you are fired. Is that clear?
I'm actually not only is that clear, I'm almost amazed I'm still here. I mean, I should have been fired weeks ago.
Joel, every time we get inside the 10-yard line, we have a false start. We fuck it up.
I noticed that about you. You
It
go
happens
backwards.
every week.
Yeah, you go backwards. I said that last week on the pod. I said, anytime you do something positive, you do two things negative right after it. I don't understand it.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I don't know what else needs to be said other than I want somebody's fucking head if that happens anymore. Or why aren't they threatening them with running or push-ups or something?
It's got to be on the coach. That's just undisciplined play. Either they're not prepared, they're not, at some point in the NFL, you got to just become a man and play your position and understand, listen, I can't do stupid shit anymore. I'm not at Auburn, or I'm not in college. I mean, this is real. These plays matter. And it doesn't help that Amari Cooper drops the ball almost every time you throw him the ball. I mean, thank God they traded him today, because he doesn't even look like he can play anymore. I don't even know. I mean, early in the game, the first down, I mean, Deshaun hit him. I think the ball hit him in the face.
No, it did. I mean, it was such an easy catch and throw.
Unbelievable. He dropped it on a third down. They had to punt. Stupid. I mean, bad execution. I don't know what to say about Cleveland. Cleveland is in a bad rut right now. Very bad rut.
We have an interesting game this week against the Bengals at home.
I saw that. Yeah, 6.5 at home. Wow. Battle of Ohio.
Feels like too many.
Totally agree with you.
Let's move on to the Texans-Patriots.
Yeah, you know what? I
had Houston in my parlay. I wasn't falling for that New England play.
Yeah.
But
I got it. I mean, CJ played a little better than I thought, and they got a late turnover there that helped them. They ended up scoring that extra touchdown, which was big. Drake May, I guess, played a little better in the second half. Demario Douglas, or the receiver, forget his first name, but Douglas had a pretty good game. He actually did.
Also, yeah. Houston's defense is undeniable.
Yeah, it's very good.
And New England's offensive line is a wreck, and you bring in a rookie quarterback. Guard. I just didn't think he had a chance.
It was too much. I mean, 7 points at home. I thought they had a chance late. The back door was swinging. They cut it to 7, and then after that, it was over. Tank Dell I picked up for the week, had a great week because we knew Nico Collins wasn't playing, so he kind of stepped into that role. He had 2 touchdowns. I mean, CJ looked pretty good.
Yeah. Commanders Ravens. Any thoughts here? My main takeaway for this one was Washington's for real. I mean, I know, basically, to me, the Ravens got the cover on the 6.5. I know it closed at 7, but
yeah,
I was very impressed. I thought they were going to get blown out, and they really hung in there. They've got their problems on defense, which Baltimore took advantage of.
Sure. Yeah, they did.
Also, they hung in there with arguably the best team in the league, and I was impressed that they only lost that game by 7.
Me too. I actually had Washington. I didn't get the closing line of 7. Unfortunately, I had 6.5, so I lost. But I love what Jaden's doing, and believe me, they were in this game, and they didn't have their number 1 running back the whole game. He didn't even play. Brian Robinson. He's been scoring every week. So I'm impressed with them. I still think they're going to win that division. I think we'll see what happens this week. They got sort of maybe a trap game coming up this week against Carolina at home, and they're laying a big number. So that's going to be interesting to see how they respond there off the loss from Baltimore. Whether they can even get up for an opponent like Carolina will be interesting to see for a young team, a young quarterback. But I agree with you. I think Washington's good, man. I think Washington's got a good team. Their defense will get better, and I think the quarterback is elite. Already, it's amazing.
Totally agree. Chargers, Broncos. You were right about this. I was dead wrong.
They tried in the second half to lose it, but they didn't, man. They hung on.
Oh, I thought Denver was making their run. I was like, oh, here they come.
Another one, man. Chargers were blowing them out. I mean, this was one of my favorite bets of the day. Green Bay and the Chargers were my big bets of the day. I hit that parlay at FanDuel. I hit it. And I took money from people on the Chargers. I just like Harbaugh off a bye. I don't really believe, but I'll tell you, Denver's going to be interesting this week. They're Thursday night at New Orleans. It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back off a loss to a division team, and how the Saints respond to getting their asses kicked by Tampa. Whether that fires them up or whether they're just flat. Because it's going to be. I mean, I think the total in that game is 38. You know, it's a 2-point line. I wouldn't expect much offense. I think it's like a slugfest kind of game with two rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, and like I don't know who is playing wide receiver for the Saints. It's just really down to bare bones. Their offensive line is totally hammered. I think they're on their third string center.
Yeah, they're in trouble, and Olave's in concussion protocol.
Yeah, so
it's tough.
That'll be interesting to watch. And Surtain, by the way, has a concussion. So
I saw that. That was big for the Chargers. McConkey had a nice game. The rookie, I like him.
Yep. Steelers, Raiders. You guys took care of business as we expected. That was our third win of the day.
Yep.
Easy. I'd call that an easy winner, I thought.
It was. I mean, listen, they had a 22-7 in the fourth quarter. They were on the 2-yard line, and Abdullah fumbled. TJ Watt punched out 2 balls like, I mean, a la freaking Peanut, right? Peanut Tillman taught everyone how to do it. And we recovered both those fumbles, and that was one of them. And after that, you know, we kind of coasted to the 32-13 win. But I will say, listen, Najee got 100 yards rushing. That's his first of the year. So that's big for us. When he runs for 100 yards, we win games, you know? And Fields was good. Not great. Good. He threw for 150. He ran for 60. He had 2 touchdowns. It was good enough. And I'll tell you, I don't know if you heard the crowd at all. It sounded like that game was like a Pittsburgh home game. I couldn't believe how many.
By the way, I said that on the podcast. That
was amazing how many Steeler fans were there.
Yeah, you guys travel well, and then you throw in a city like Vegas, and it's like even more so. And and again, like Vegas, you know, the Raiders. Let's not forget, they're new to that city.
Totally.
You know what I mean? This is not the Oakland Raiders. This is like a transported team. So it just made total sense to me. That
you know what's wild that I recognized this years ago when I went to see the Rangers play the first time in Vegas. You're going to get a lot of. I mean, people will book a weekend to go see their team in Vegas. So it's kind of a disadvantage for Vegas in all these sports because they're looking for a reason to go to that town anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, you're always going to have, no matter what the sport. And I imagine the same thing will happen to the A's when they move there, you know?
Yeah. Next game up was Carolina, Atlanta.
Another win. Wow.
We had Atlanta. That was actually a 1-score game late. Big takeaway for me was two things. Number one, Carolina's defense is so bad that Atlanta was doing whatever they wanted to, both on the ground running with Bijan,
yes,
and also throwing. Kirk was just carving them up.
Yep,
they were just walking down the field. It felt like so that was easy. And my second big takeaway was Atlanta's defense is not very good. I mean, you would think that against that offense and that quarterback, that they would have just had a 21-point lead or just been able to name their score and shut them down. But they couldn't. They really couldn't put them away. They had to get a turnover late.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter.
I mean, they got two interceptions off Dalton, but they let up 2 touchdowns and they let up a touchdown by Hubbard on the ground. So I understand what you're saying. Like, the thing about Carolina is, like, they're so bad on defense that their offense gets a lot of possession time. I mean, they're always on the field because the defense just lets the other team score. It's like crazy. But I thought my takeaway was Atlanta's offense this week was a lot more balanced than they were the week before, even though Kirk won that game against Tampa at home, that 59 drop back passing. You can't win games in the NFL doing that. So Bijan at 100 yards, Algier at 100 yards. It's better for Kirk when they're a balanced team, when they're running half the time and throwing half the time. And that's probably true for most teams, I would think.
Yeah, sure.
But that was our 4th win of the day, and we were cruising.
And into the Detroit-Dallas game.
What a massacre. Oh, my God.
That was fantastic. That was so great. And what I love most about that game was, you know, like it played out exactly as we predicted. But what I really like most about it, to be honest with you, is that professional gamblers, a lot of people who I respect, the guys from the Deep Dive, Adam Chernoff, like guys who are data-driven, analytical, professional gamblers, do this for a living.
Dead wrong.
Loved Dallas.
Yeah, they were dead wrong.
And you know what? It was tempting. And I think I mentioned to you.
You texted me. You said you want to get off the Lions. And I said, no. I said, let's just go with our picks.
Yeah. And man, it was just, everything we said about what would happen just played out exactly as we thought it would. And I was so happy to see Dan Campbell kind of fucking rub it in their face.
He did.
Trick plays, flea flickers to Laporta.
He was having fun, man. The 2 tackle eligibles. He threw one to one of the tackles.
Yeah. And the fact that it was Jerry Jones's birthday and he was sitting up in that booth. I mean, listen, I have nothing against Dallas. I'm not like one of these people who roots for them to lose, but it was so good to be right about.
I gotta say, I normally, when a coach does that kind of shit in a game that they're blowing someone out, I kind of am like, well, that's kind of a dick move. But listen, Detroit has been a whipping boy for Dallas for so long. Mm-hmm. And after what happened to them last year in that game, that bullshit referee call, not reporting, whatever, and it cost them the #1 seed, and then they had to go to San Francisco for the championship game and lose. We said it on the podcast. I said, Campbell's had this game circled for a long time. And you know what? Good for him that he ran it up on them and he embarrassed them, embarrassed Dak, embarrassed CeeDee Lamb, embarrassed Jerry Jones. The defense had no idea what was going on. The head was spinning. There were plays, that guy Diggs, he wasn't even trying to tackle people at the end of the game. Like, it was embarrassing. Like, I'm happy for Detroit. They got a much tougher test this week at Minnesota.
Oh yeah. We'll talk about that Wednesday,
which is going to be really fun to watch.
It's going to be incredible. By the way, just to be clear, name the nose tackle for the Giants.
The nose tackle? Is it Dexter Lawrence?
Yes.
Yeah.
Name the defensive end for Dallas.
DeMarcus Lawrence.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. That's. You said it wrong when we were covering the games.
I did.
We were like, Lawrence? Is it Lawrence?
Totally did. I always get that guy confused. Correct.
Marcus on Dallas, Dexter on the Giants.
Correct.
All right. Next game was Cincy Giants.
Yeah. I thought the Giants blew the game. I mean, I thought they had every opportunity to win it. Their defense can't play better. You can't play better than holding Cincinnati 17 points. Cincinnati's defense played so much better than I thought. We both thought they were going to get that. I'll tell you, people must have got killed in this game gambling on the over. Everyone must have had the over in this game.
Oh, yeah.
I would have thought. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All I was reading was, Burrow's going to it's going to be a shootout. Burrow's going to outdo. Can the Giants even stay with them? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, 7-0 at the half, and the Giants, they just couldn't. Every time they needed to convert, they couldn't do it. They just can't do it.
They're struggling. I was glad I had Cincy. I got very lucky with that front door cover late.
Oh my God! Yeah,
he should have laid down. He didn't.
Right.
I haven't seen a player do that in so long.
No,
he didn't get the memo.
Yeah, that's right. He wanted that touchdown bad, Chase Brown. He went right in. He probably didn't even realize, but I mean. Obviously, if he goes down, we know what happens. They take knees and the game's over. But it didn't matter. The Giants had no offense. I mean, they couldn't. Every time they tried to, and then penalties too. They have a slew of penalties that hold them back all the time.
Yep.
It's disappointing to watch your Giants be this bad. It really is.
Speaking of bad, the other New York team last night, Jets, Bills. This got painful.
I mean, how do you even
say this? It's crazy to say this, but I actually feel that this is true. You probably agree that even for Jet fans, that was hard last night.
Oh man!
And I say that because they're used to it.
They're used to it
all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the 2 doinks was especially. I don't know. It was just like. How can a guy like Greg the Leg, who can kick a ball from 55 yards, miss a 32 and a 43-yard field goal with both for the lead, and then they get that phantom holding call? I didn't think that was a hold. I thought he ran. He wasn't going to make that play. It was wide open. He waltzed right in the end zone. That was going to be the game. 27-20. I know there was time left, a lot of time left, but still, I mean, that was a momentum changing thing.
And of course, it goes against them, and they have to kick a field goal and they miss it. It's just awful. And they got a Hail Mary in that game, which is remarkable.
Oh my God! End of the first half was sick.
Only the Jets can lose a game where they get a Hail Mary. You know what I'm saying? Like, how's that possible?
I want to do an analysis. I mean, this sort of ties into golf. And look, I'm a golf professional. I teach for a living, and there's a lot of similarities between the field goal kick and a golf swing. Believe it or not, the leg is actually in a very similar position as is the golf club.
Interesting.
Now, I've never seen this analysis, but I actually think about it a lot.
Wow.
And the reason I'm bringing it up is because in situations like last night, when there's a lot of wind, if you're a kicker, you have to do the equivalent of what is a knockdown shot in golf. Okay, you can't let the ball get up into the wind. You have to hit a low driving draw or a low driving cut. Okay, if in golf terminology. And the what's his name for the Jets?
Zerline
didn't do that. He kicked the ball, ballooned up in the air. But Bass came in, and I saw him like take like an 8-iron and drive it down into the ground with his leg. He hit it on a much better like descending angle of attack.
Yeah.
And the kick stayed low and went through and penetrated the wind.
Yeah, he missed an extra point early in the game and a field goal, but he must have learned from it on the other one I saw to tie it at 20. Yeah.
I'm saying I saw him deliberately sort of kick down,
punch it
into that one that he needed to take the lead at the end of the game.
Amazing.
I wish I'm very curious if kickers think this way, but if they don't, they should.
It's interesting. My takeaway from that game was I thought the officials were way too involved. I mean, the Jets had 22 accepted penalties. There must have been 40 penalties. The game had no flow. It was really tough to watch. I think the NFL needs.
That crew. I forget like the main guy.
He's horrible.
They were so bad, and it wasn't clear to me. Also, you start thinking, okay, who do they want to win this game? Because sometimes you start thinking, okay, well, they're obviously shading one side or the other. But I didn't even know that. I couldn't even answer that question. It was like they were flip-flopping. They were giving both sides ridiculous calls.
Yeah, you got to at some point, you got to eat the whistle. I think the league, in my opinion, I felt this way for a while. I think that these penalties that go on that are away from the play that have nothing to do with the play should not be called. The game would be so much better for the fans and for the flow of the game. And this kind of shit that goes on, it's stupid. And it makes the game about the referees and not the players. And you know what? If it doesn't involve the play and it's not around the ball and it has nothing to do with the result of the play, just don't fucking call it. Enough is enough.
I totally agree, by the way. And I think that's actually something that they could put into practice.
Yes.
And have it be challengeable. It's basically, you just called holding, and I challenged the fact that had any consequence.
That's right.
Whatsoever.
That's right.
There was a pitch out to the right, the whole play flowed right, and a guy going left held someone, and you decided to call that?
I'm telling you, it happens every week in all these games, and I'm telling you,
he didn't open up a hole. Okay, if he held him by the shoulder and the guy busted through the hole, then that clearly that was the reason why he broke through there.
Yeah,
but it happens all the time.
Totally agree.
It reminds me of a friend of mine who went to USC. Our daughters we went to the sleepaway camp together, and we were hanging out, and he said, "Oh, I can't even watch the Pac-12 anymore." This was when the Pac-12 was still around. He's like, "You wouldn't believe how many penalties they call." And I don't watch Pac-12 football really hardly ever. Back then, in the
Big Ten guy,
Big Ten and SEC, I think is actually pretty good about that. But he was like, they call double the amount of penalties out west than they do.
It's so stupid. Let me tell you,
for no reason.
If you're what's his name, Goodell, and if you didn't get a note on your desk this morning that you need to look at the officiating after last night's game with all these flags, they have to do something about it. They're going to lose fans. Fans don't want to watch that. I'm telling you, I was frustrated watching it. You can't have a flag on every fucking play. It's stupid. It's annoying. and they're going to turn off the fans.
Well, we were 5-0. We're back to, I think
We're 16-14 from 11-14. We're over the Mendoza, and let's stay hot this week. We'll talk on Thursday. Let's look at the card. I got to run and play hockey right now, and the Yankees are winning. I don't even know. My phone's been blowing up, but let's go Yankees. And great show, Jack. What a week we had, bro. What a week.
Let's stay hot. So are you
Let's
good?
stay hot.
Wednesday night or Thursday night this week?
Whatever you say. I'm available both.
Okay, you think you'll be ready tomorrow?
I could be. I mean, we got to look at the data and the injuries. That's the only thing about that, but I could do either one. It's up to you.
Let's shoot for tomorrow night's going to be better for me. I already know I'm teaching
All right.
Thursday night. Like it's going to be a little later. I could still do it Thursday, but it would have to be later.
All right, brother. Sounds good. Let's do our homework.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see. We'll be back at you soon with more winners.
Stay with us, bro. Keep riding us. We're getting hot.